welcome Ajit on this YouTube channel. And seriously, as we are aware, we were actually waiting for last number of weeks to get connected, but
Right.
it was not happening. But finally, we are there. So I really wanted you to introduce yourself briefly that people can actually relate, them with you. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Himanshu, for having me, first of all. I think in introduction, I would just say like born and brought up in Delhi, right? Did my schooling from DPS, not an excellent student. I was a very average student, right? But I used to play a lot and I used to study when I had to. So just before exams, thoda sa pad lete the, that kind of a student. And then probably I went to Hindu college. 12th mein tukka lag gaya and I scored really good marks. And CBSE was like gracious enough to give me 100 in mathematics and 99 in English. So I got into North Campus, Delhi, went to Hindu college. Super fun 3 years, right? Then I also did my chartered accountancy meanwhile. I did my articleship from a very more of taxation firm. It was not a very renowned firm, but I thought it was a great experience because I used to go and meet the real officers, so tax officers or income tax officers in Delhi, Punjab. I used to travel with the partners there. I used to learn the real scale what a CA does, right? You go and negotiate money with them. You understand the case. First, you fight the case from the base level, and when you're stuck at the case, then you understand how do you negotiate with people. I'm not promoting that, but that happens. That's a good
Yeah.
learning if you're in this
Yeah.
field, right? So that was also good. And probably once I completed my chartered accountancy in 2018 November, right? Luckily, also got through the levels. I don't know how. I used to study when I had to. Never had those aims or goals. Ki rank lani hai, all India rank, nothing. I just wanted to study to pass the examinations, and I did that. And once I completed my chartered accountancy in 18, I sat for campus. So there is a campus for CA students, right? Which ICI, which is the institute which
Campus
does
placement, I think. Yeah.
campus placement, right? So I went to Delhi campus. EY shortlist kiya, KPMG shortlisted me, and some Tatas, like I think there was Tata Consumers which shortlisted me. I failed all the levels in all the three companies. Okay, no placement in Delhi. So then you have a second round. So first you have these mega cities, ki Delhi,
Okay.
Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore. First round is for these cities. The second round, which is almost like 15, 20 days baad, the campus goes to the second tier cities, which is like Chandigarh, Indore, Bhopal जाते हैं. So I went to Chandigarh. So
Okay.
me and my brother, we drove to Chandigarh. हमारे लिए तो like it was a long drive. कि try करते चंडीगढ़ में कुछ हो जाएगा. So I went to Chandigarh, and Chandigarh campus में I got shortlisted by Wipro and Infosys. Okay, now I filled both the forms. They had this form kind of thing, basic information, some questions about you, some questions about the like your perspective of how a management should do this. What is the leadership skill you like? Basic questions, HR questions. Fill that, and both of them shortlisted me for the face-to-face interview. Okay. Now the problem was both the interviews clashed. Abhi Infosys wala said 1 baje interview hoga, Wipro said 1 baje interview hoga. And as a student who has no job, you can't go and tell them कि नहीं मैं नहीं आऊंगा 1 baje. Either of the one. Now I had to decide where to go. Okay. I called up some friends and said किधर जाए. Half people say कि भाई Infosys देख लो अच्छा है, and other half said कि Wipro करो अच्छा है. Now again confused. What should I do? Now what I did, I just went like first the so like I think 5 minutes ka difference tha. So the person who was handling the Wipro interviews, he just grabbed my arm and he said, नहीं नहीं आपका interview फटाफट चलो आपका नाम आ गया. And I just went to Wipro ka interview. I left
Okay.
Infosys ka interview. So went to Wipro's interview. There were 3 rounds. I think first round was fun, very basic questions about me, my like education and family and everything. Second round was complete grilling. Okay, so there was a manager who was audit manager with Wipro. He checked everything on ethics, right? Because I had done my articleship from taxation. He checked everything ki bribery kya hota hai, dena chahiye, nahi dena chahiye. He checked everything that a corporate should not do, and he had all those questions. So I knew I had to like answer the other way, that it's not the right thing to do, which is not the right thing to do. So that round happened. The final round was with someone in treasury, Wipro ke, and they had a lot of forex questions क्योंकि वो treasury के थे, उन्होंने forex
Treasury.
questions
Got
पूछने
it.
थे, and I had no clue what treasury is. Okay, as an
Yeah.
articleship, as a CA student, you have no clue what is treasury. पहली बार सुना था. He said I'm from treasury. ऐसे वो तो बैंक में होता है, आप विप्रो में treasury क्या करते हो, right? And
It's
he had
service,
those questions.
outsourcing services. Yeah.
हाँ करेक्ट, वो बैंक कर रहा है आपको, वो एचडीएफसी में जाओ, आप विप्रो में क्यों नौकरी कर रहे हो?
Right.
he had some questions on forex कि विप्रो के लिए डॉलर बढ़ना अच्छा है या नहीं है, so answer those like questions जो उस टाइम समझ आया. I think it was more around how confident I was. If I
Yeah.
look back now, I got selected that in that program. I was part of the Wipro cohorts program, which is like a 2 year program with Wipro. They like you have two roles to do in 2 years, and you have no choice. So they select the roles for you, and then you go through that. Oh, Bangalore, may I was placed, and I think great experience there as well. So I think going to a corporate like Wipro, huge campuses. Okay, Bangalore, may they have two campuses. One is Sarjapur and one is Electronic City. Now Sarjapur campus is extremely huge. Okay, now they are like what, 10 buildings. Each building has like 20 floors, एंड काफी बड़ा कैंपस है, और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सिटी में भी बहुत बड़ा कैंपस है. सो फर्स्ट 3 months वर इन सरजापुर, देन नेक्स्ट 9 months इन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सिटी आई गॉट शिफ्टेड टू अ डिफरेंट रोल. माय फर्स्ट रोल वाज बेसिकली अराउंड बिजनेस. इंट्रोडक्शन ज्यादा लंबा तो नहीं हो रहा, बट ठीक है,
No, no,
आई थिंक दैट शुड वर्क.
it's actually interesting to hear, about Wipro and everything about the background. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. I think then my first role was around business finance. Never heard about it. क्या होता है वो? सीधा ही हमको बोला you are part of business finance team. Congratulations. We said thank you. चलो ठीक है.
Okay.
And the role started.
You
You have no clue.
started,
So
but
you have,
okay. Yeah.
exactly, it's a corporate, you don't know the terms क्या होता है. Now
True,
the
true.
finance function has 7 functions within finance functions in Wipro. There is treasury, there is internal audit, there is like, then you have FP&A, then you have a pricing team different है, business finance team अलग है, then there is forex team, there is hedging team, हर चीज अलग, and we have no clue क्या करना है, right? It's a like $11 billion company और 400 CA हैं उनके पास, and you go and you figure out that 400 CA आपने hire किए हैं. So that's a huge company, right? I think the experience there was also good. People are really helpful. I think especially आजकल I think all the organizations, the culture has changed a lot. People are very helpful and patient per se. If even if not helpful, patient जरूर हो गए हैं लोग. What I feel in
Yeah.
corporate over the last 20-25 years right now, because I think more like our bhaiyas are now the managers, right? So 10 years elder to me, now he's also thoda pretty chill ki हाँ ठीक है हो जाएगा. It's not like our father's generation who are very hectic कि नहीं यार काम तो करो, कैसे कर रहे हो? So I think
Okay.
that shift has happened now in India. So good experience there. I think my first role was business finance. My second role was around M&A. So I got an opportunity in mergers and acquisitions. My second year was there, and then I switched to Flipkart. Right now with Flipkart, I am again in business finance. So that was also an interesting switch. We'll talk about that probably as we go ahead. I'll not talk about that in introduction, but so far so good. I think that's been me doing average and just flowing with things that are coming my way.
So what made you choose like at that time like CA, that
Hmm.
you wanted to go for like at the start of the education, you chose chartered accountancy over other courses. You must have choice.
Hmm.
Actually, this question I asked most of the people because I
Hmm.
had the same dilemma at the start of my career, and I
Hmm.
probably I was lucky that I got failed at the CPT. Otherwise, I would
Hmm.
be into the CPT only even till now.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think I would have also been there unless I would scored 110 out of 200. फिर से 10 marks का तुक्का लगा.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to ask what made you choose chartered accounting except other courses? You must have
Hmm.
choice for at that time as well for ACCA,
Okay.
for CMA,
Hmm.
or other courses. Yeah.
Sure. I think I'll go back to why took commerce first, right? So 10th May, once you are in the final year, just before 10th के boards, you get this form in school, right? कि list आता है with your name, science लेना है या commerce लेना है, and then teachers tell you कि नहीं नहीं आप तो science लो, आप अच्छे student हो, right? And like 99% of the class wrote science, and 3 people from my class, we were like 40 students की class, and just 3 people wrote commerce. Okay, now the teacher was very surprised कि यार कॉमर्स किसी को लेना ही नहीं है स्कूल में, कॉमर्स का सेक्शन कैसे बनेगा, right? So what they did was they
Okay.
kept 3 of us. We were not even हमें बोला ही नहीं कि आप साइंस भी लो. They just told us कि नहीं नहीं आप तो कॉमर्स है, गुड, कोई तो कॉमर्स का सेक्शन बनेगा, and they added 10
समझ
people
गया.
from science कि नहीं नहीं आप कॉमर्स लो और you will do good in commerce, because those back benchers उनको कॉमर्स दे देते हैं, right? कि साइंस तो आपसे होगी नहीं, स्कूल का रिजल्ट खराब होगा. So they did that and कॉमर्स का सेक्शन बन गया. And why I chose commerce, I have no clue. ठीक है, I was pretty sure, मेरे को बस लगता था साइंस में बहुत ज्यादा भीड़ है. I used to think there is a lot of competition in science. which I was pretty wrong. Had I been a techie right now, I would be making 3 times the money, but ठीक है. Like decisions, not no regrets, but ठीक है. So went for commerce. 11th 12th मजे में एकदम did all those जो पढ़ाई होती 11th में तो पढ़ाई करनी नहीं है. So 12th में like studied थोड़ा last 3 4 months 12th के बहुत अच्छे से पढ़े and then got good marks and got into college. अच्छा, after 12th I also had no clue कि CPT देना है. सो आई फिल्ड एवरी एंट्रेंस एग्जाम. मैंने क्लैट भी भरा था, मैंने सीपीटी
Okay.
भी भरा, मैं डीयू के सारे फॉर्म्स भर दिए, सेंट स्टीफेंस का भी फॉर्म भर दिया कि क्या पता चांस लग जाए, अच्छे मार्क्स आ गए, राइट, कट ऑफ में आ जाएंगे. आई थिंक आई फिल्ड एवरीथिंग. क्लैट आई गॉट एकदम बकवास रैंक क्लैट में, ठीक है, क्योंकि ज्यादा पढ़ा नहीं था. लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स वर वेरी सीरियस अबाउट क्लैट. वो एंट्रेंस के लिए कोचिंग लेते थे. यू हैव दिस करियर लॉन्चर,
Glad
राइट,
glad is for, I think that
फॉर लॉ, फॉर लॉ.
law, right?
हाँ,
BBA plus
हाँ, बी
BA
एल एल
plus
बी.
BLLB. Yeah,
करेक्ट. सो अ लॉट ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स वर डूइंग दैट. मैं चलो ठीक है क्लैट करते हैं, बट ट्यूशन नहीं लेनी यार, ट्यूशन कौन जाएगा, इतना इजी एग्जाम है. एंड आई
right.
फ्लंक्ड लाइक एनीथिंग. ओके, देन आई सीपीटी था जून में एंड आई थिंक क्लैट था आपका मई में एंड देन सीपीटी वाज इन जून. क्लैट दे के समझ आ गया नहीं होगा, तो फिर सीपीटी में थोड़ा सा ध्यान दिया कि कुछ तो हो जाए एंड देन आई क्लियर्ड सीपीटी. It's more about I never thought कि मेरे को यही करना है. But as a commerce student, your options are very limited. See, I did not want to do BBA. I thought that was थोड़ा सा basic thing to do. कुछ नहीं होता तो वो भी करते ही खैर.
Got
But I
it.
was thinking ठीक है कुछ professional course करना है. One of my cousins was doing CS. Okay, but I figured out कि यार उसमें I used to talk to them and they were like कि इसमें थ्योरी बहुत ज्यादा है. सो सी एस इज मोर अबाउट लॉ, कंपनीज एक्ट एंड कॉम्पिटिशन एक्ट. इसके नहीं यार, थोड़ा मतलब सम सॉल्व करने वाला कुछ चाहिए हमें, तो मतलब आई वांट सम अकाउंटिंग, आई वांट सम, आप कुछ फॉरेक्स का कराओ, सम सॉल्व करना, मुझे पढ़ के नहीं जाना है, राइट. सो द बेसिक आइडियाज एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम यू आर नॉट वेरी श्योर कि करना क्या है. इट्स मोर अबाउट आपका इंटरेस्ट क्या है इन टर्म्स ऑफ दैट सिलेबस, दैट डिफाइंस व्हाट यू वांट टू डू. आई थिंक
Got it.
आजकल लोग बहुत अवेयर हो गए हैं. लाइक आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट आई एम बहुत बूढ़ा हूं, बट ठीक है 8 9 years बैक हो गए, 10 साल अभी 12th को. तो बेसिकली सो वहां पे यू डोंट डिसाइड कि आपको करना क्या. इट्स मोर अबाउट सिलेबस कौन सा ज्यादा पसंद आ रहा है वो कर लेते हैं. एंड आई थिंक वही सीपीटी दिया, आई स्कोर्ड वेल एंड सब, फिर लगा कि चलो हो सकता है. वंस यू क्लियर सीपीटी एंड आई स्टार्टेड स्टडिंग, कुछ ऑनलाइन क्लासेस वगैरह देखनी शुरू करी. इंटरेस्टिंग, सीए की क्लासेस आर वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, दे आर सुपर एंटरटेनिंग. इफ यू लुक एट सीए क्लासेस देन द टीचर्स आर सो एंथुजियास्टिक, चिल्लाएंगे, आपको
Yeah,
बोर्ड पे लिखेंगे, जोक्स, शायरी चल रही है, राइट. तो यू आर ऑलवेज इंटरेस्ट की यार ये बढ़िया कोर्स है, इधर मतलब मजा आता है पढ़ के. यू मीट न्यू पीपल, फनी पीपल अराउंड. पूरा सीए कोर्स में यू मीट अ लॉट ऑफ फनी पीपल, राइट. अलग ही जीवन चल रहा है लोगों का वहां पे. नो वन इज एक्चुअली सीरियस, बट एग्जाम बहुत सीरियस है. तो ये आई थिंक दैट केप्ट ऑन वर्किंग विद मी. उसमें चलते रहे, करते रहे, एग्जाम्स आए, पढ़ लिया, अच्छे से पढ़ लिया, हो गया क्लियर. सो आई थिंक नॉट वेरी फोकस्ड और वेरी लाइक कि यही करना है, नॉट सेट गोल्स और एम्स, बट इट आई केप्ट ऑन डूइंग. जो करना था वो अच्छे से किया एंड आई थिंक दैट हैज हेल्प मी सो फार. So to your question, concluding to your question ki why CA, probably no plans per se, but I think because of lesser options back then, I thought कि यही है. and I क्लैट नहीं हो पाया तो CBT हो गया and then CA started. क्लैट अगर हो जाता तो I would have been a lawyer for sure. and आर्यन
got it.
खान का केस शायद लड़ लेता मैं.
Hey, bhai. And definitely, like how your
Hmm.
journey in terms of IPCC and CA finals has been, like how you prepared, because it's as if I compare you with other people, you
Hmm.
say that you're an average guy, but you doesn't seem like average guy when it comes to CA journey. You cleared every exam very wonderfully. So what was the reason behind that? Your preparation techniques, your schedule, and everything around.
Sure. I think I keep telling this to a lot of people, like a lot of like students now access है लोगों को LinkedIn पे, Instagram पे. So now kids have a lot of access to you, right? So I get those questions कि what is the strategy, right? I'll just
Strategy.
tell you, if anyone who's listening this or किसी को help होती है, these examinations per se, your CA or I think CMA, CS में भी यही है. The more you practice last year questions, right? That is your brahmastra for it. Okay, you can just mug up all the syllabus, सब theory पढ़ लोगे, but unless you solve like last 7 8 attempts के question papers, it's the questions are limited. Okay, at the end of the day 80% paper last 10 attempts से ही आ रहा है, because the examiner also can't be so creative around a very fixed syllabus, right? Think from an examiner, उसको एक 400 पेज की किताब दी है, कितने क्वेश्चंस बना लेगा? 500 क्वेश्चंस बना लेगा, 10 अटेम्प्ट में वो खत्म हो जाएंगे, उसको नाम चेंज करके देना शुरू कर देगा, राइट? So the strategy is simple. You go and solve as many questions as you can from past year questions. नए questions करोगे तो confuse हो जाओगे. My strategy was simple. I figured out कि मेरे को questions solve करने हैं. And I think that is what I did throughout all the like levels, be it IPCC, all syllabus or finals maybe. And one thing was I never went to these physical classes, tuitions नहीं ली मैंने पूरे कोर्स में. I used to watch YouTube, पूरा YouTube से, जहाँ पे YouTube पे सर्च बार में फ्री लिख के जो मिल रहा है मैं वो करता था, राइट? यू गो एंड राइट डाउन. नाउ देयर आर लॉट ऑफ मैराथन्स सीए में, दे डू टैक्स मैराथन, 10 घंटे में पूरा सिलेबस करा देते हैं, और
हम्म।
15 घंटे में पूरा आपका आपका फॉरेक्स का चैप्टर करा, पूरा सिलेबस करवा देंगे, या लॉ करा देंगे 10 घंटे में, क्रैश कोर्स. ऑल दीज बिग बिग टीचर्स पुट ऑन यूट्यूब, राइट? एंड दे आर फैंटास्टिक. ओके, यू, वो 10 घंटे का लेक्चर आप 2 बार ही देखो, चाहे एक हफ्ते में बैठ के देखो, 5 2 2 घंटा. I think that gives you the idea of the syllabus, what is to be done, and then you go and solve questions. I think that has helped me. I have not taken any physical tuitions ever. ना मैंने पेन ड्राइव खरीदी है ना कुछ किया है, right? I used to watch YouTube, देखा, questions solve के मस्ती में. And I think another thing I figured out is जितना ज्यादा stress लोगे उतने ज्यादा chances है fail होने के, right? Because
Seriously.
that has happened to me as well, right? Some of the papers I was really stressed, मुझे समझ ही नहीं आ रहा, like especially income tax. Okay, income tax is something that you have to be interested in to understand. मुझे तो समझ नहीं आते इतने sections, समझ याद कैसे रखेंगे, right? I was really scared with that subject, and I think the poorest performance throughout my like examinations has been taxation, even though my articleship was in taxation. So I think because you are a lot of stressed कि यार ये कैसे होगा, the more stress you take, वो 10 marks तो आप वैसे ही lose out कर जाओगे, right? So I think थोड़ा सा आराम से like हो जाएगा, पास ही होना है. If your aim is pass होना, listen to me only if your aim is pass होना. Don't take me as a rank holder कि rank लाने, then listen to some rank holder, right? My only theory is कि this examination is more, it'll give you a great platform. आप क्लियर कर जाओगे, सीए बन जाओगे, सुपर प्लेटफॉर्म, राइट? आई वाज नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग कि मेरे को इतने बड़े ब्रांड्स में काम करने मिलेगा, राइट? बिकॉज आई हैड नो गोल्स. बट स्टिल दिस गिव्स यू अ प्लेटफॉर्म. सो पास होना जरूरी है, तो माई स्ट्रेटेजी हैज बीन सॉल्विंग दोस क्वेश्चंस and not taking a lot of stress. So that has been
God.
good for me.
Got it. And definitely, I next question is like, for example, you shifted your career. Although you say that I will not ask this, I will not say about this into the introduction, but I really wanted to ask you, what made you
Hmm.
shift it to like Flipkart? Like you were going
Sure.
good with the Wipro, everything was fine. So what made you
Hmm.
shift to the Flipkart?
Cool. That was my first interview question at Flipkart also. Okay. So why do you want to come to Flipkart? You're doing good with Wipro. Right. So I think the basic answer for anyone who wants to switch per se, I read a lot of Google. Okay. I'm no Gyani. I don't like मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा मैंने ये किया. I went on to Google. When you
Yeah,
when you get shortlisted in an interview, right? Just go and Google any question that can come to you, or just go to Glassdoor and something. सब कुछ पढ़ा Google पे जाके, right? And
definitely.
figured out कि because a lot of people
I
answer those
think for
questions. So
for for everyone who has got the offer letter, the first thing they do is go into the glass or check out कि चल क्या रहा
for
है वहाँ
sure,
पे.
for
लोगों
sure,
ने
you look at the
कंफ्यूज कर
salary
डाले
range,
हैं.
but Glassdoor is so misleading. The salary range is 10 लाख से 25 लाख. अरे भाई इसके बीच में तो हम कितना है? So that is Glassdoor का ना, वो बड़ा ही funny है. They'll range होगी from 7 lakhs to 25 lakhs from 500 people. I'm like, boss मेरा क्या नंबर है मुझे बता दो.
समझ गया. बहुत
So
बड़ी
Glass,
रेंज है.
हाँ, बहुत बड़ी रेंज होती है, स्पेशली इन बिग कंपनीज. देयर विल बी अलग ही नंबर चल रहा है उधर, बट ठीक है, यू स्टिल गेट अ फिगर कि ठीक है हायर एंड के पास हूं या नहीं, राइट?
समझ गया.
So so that question for you, like that you asked ki why Flipkart, I think first and foremost was experience something new. It's not about Wipro से कोई प्रॉब्लम थी या रोल से कोई प्रॉब्लम थी. इट्स ऑल अबाउट व्हाट नेक्स्ट, राइट? इट्स ऑलवेज अबाउट लाइक यू थिंक फॉर योरसेल्फ कि यार अगला क्या करना है, right? And I think there were a couple of options for me, right? Because job market एकदम से खुली थी तभी. I'll be honest with you. Those days अभी LinkedIn बहुत dry हो गया. Okay, LinkedIn में अभी आपको हफ्ते में 2 या 3 हो दिखेगा someone is promoting some role. Back
Right.
then when I was switching, right, it was just after COVID खत्म ही हुआ था, right? And probably there was boom in the like markets, right? Every
True.
third day I used to get a call from some HR or something ki there's an opening and great offers, great role, right? I got a couple of offers, like if I can name, I got an offer from Goldman also. Okay, I got offer from Flipkart also, I got offer from Swiggy also, right? एक दो और startups थे, I startups ने तो बहुत offer, startups offer you a lot. Okay, startups आते ही रहते हैं उनके, they because they are on a hiring spree. Big companies
Yeah,
do not hire so easily. वो campus में जाना पसंद करते हैं. जैसे ICA campus में you will have a Wipro openly ऐसे hiring नहीं कर रहा होगा कभी,
yeah,
right? या फिर Infosys भी openly hire नहीं करते हैं. Either some senior leader on LinkedIn will post कि we need a person or something, right? So that is what happens. And I think to your question back again, फिर से miss out कर रहा हूँ पूरा कि why I wanted to switch is basically it's more about what next, something I wanted to experience new. And I think e-commerce में Flipkart was one of the biggest brands. Amazon में I got rejected honestly, ठीक है. I applied at Amazon also. Amazon is super tough to crack in, right? It has a long process, 4 महीने का process होता है. They have like 7-8 rounds and what not, अलग ही उनका कुछ process है. And Flipkart was another like second best bet for me. So I that was again very tough though. The interview, we'll talk about that probably. So interview at Flipkart was also extremely tough, but my answer was very simple, that I wanted to experience, like I've upskilled myself in terms of with 2 years. I understand how a corporate works, how an organization is structured, what how do you have to behave as an individual, and how you can charter your growth in an organization, right? अब समझ आता है कि मैनेजर क्या है, सीनियर मैनेजर क्या
got
है,
it.
कौन किसको रिपोर्ट करता है, व्हाट इज अ फंक्शन. एक्सेल ही नहीं चलाना सिर्फ, देयर इज काइंड ऑफ एनालिसिस यू आर गेटिंग इनटू, राइट? एट द एंड ऑफ यार 10 घंटे एक्सेल चलाए, किया ही कुछ नहीं, कॉपी पेस्ट करते रह गए, वी लुकअप लगाया, आधे लगे नहीं, आगे एन आ गए, बताओ. So it's more than that. What next is probably the what I was looking for, and I think e-commerce was doing fairly well. Plus Flipkart again, less job insecurity there. पैसा है उनके पास, backed by Walmart. So I think that was good. So I took a plunge, leap of faith ही था मेरे लिए भी, because Wipro is very well structured. Okay, so
Yeah,
Wipro is super structured, 75 years old organization, and they have a process for every single thing, right? Every single thing has a process, documented process. Flipkart is not about that. Flipkart is more like keep taking actions, right? You
got
go
it.
to Flipkart, हर हफ्ते तो उनकी app update होती है. Now think about internal process कितनी जल्दी change होता होगा, right?
Yeah,
So it's a very quick, speed based organization. So I think that was also a transition I wanted to experience कि यार यहाँ कैसे काम होता है. So I think that were two things, and I was very honest in the interview also, that I wanted to experience that how is something expanding so fast, right? From a 1 billion to a 40 billion 2 साल में, यार कैसे कर रहे हो? So like I wouldn't get a purview because I'm just part of that huge organization, but still you get a touch and feel कि यार काम कैसे होता है यहाँ पे. So I think I was honest with that part of interview, and I got shortlisted there for the next round, जहाँ पे मेरी बैंड बजाई उन्होंने. So we'll talk about that.
yeah. And in terms of like the work culture at the Wipro and
Hmm.
Flipkart, what's the difference you have seen?
I think Wipro का culture was more around very it was pretty chill. बहुत कोई जल्दी नहीं थी लोगों को, right? People were not in a rush because there is a process, there is a
Got
like
it.
they are in a comfortable position, right? Plus I'll give you an example. For example, like Wipro में, if your margin from one quarter to second quarter is 0.3% से बढ़ गया, 0.3% से अगर profit बढ़ गया, that was a celebration, right? That was a celebration कि यार we are on the right track, because it's so huge. 0.3% margin improvement for a 2.5 lakh employee organization is huge. कि यार क्या optimization कर दी, क्या cost बचा लिया आपने, right? Now
Yeah,
coming to Flipkart, the growth is 40% per year. 40% की तो ग्रोथ है कंपनी की, वो प्रॉफिट है नहीं, इट्स अ लॉस मेकिंग कंपनी.
yeah,
नाउ द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑल टुगेदर चेंजेस फॉर अ फाइनेंस पर्सन, राइट? फ्रॉम कटिंग आउट फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ईच एंड एवरी नंबर ऑफ कॉस्ट कि यार एक एक रुपया कहाँ जा रहा है, टू समथिंग विच इज वेल फंडेड एंड यू जस्ट हैव टू एग्जीक्यूट ऑन ब्रॉडर आइडिया ऑफ रेवेन्यू, right? So I think that is a major difference from a finance perspective. Ki instead of getting into details, you look at the macro idea in Flipkart and you execute a macro idea. While Flipkart is more about, you are like, there are like 400 500 people in finance, you just one there. So very detailing, आपको एक particular काम दिया गया है, you're working on that, you have to figure out what efficiency you can bring in that small portion, right?
got
Flipkart
it.
maybe we're just doing a portion, but even that portion is a macro thing. एकदम डिटेल में जाने की इतनी जरूरत नहीं होती कि यार ये 1% इधर उधर कैसे हुआ, नहीं, नो वन इज कंसर्न अबाउट 1% इधर उधर, ये मतलब ठीक है ओवरऑल 40% ग्रोथ दिख रही है ना, ठीक है चलेगा. सो द काइंड ऑफ एटीट्यूड ऑफ लीडरशिप रियली डिफाइंस योर एक्शंस आल्सो, राइट, कि यू आल्सो स्टार्ट कि ठीक है ना डिटेल में जाने की क्या जरूरत है.
समझ गया. Okay, so my next question is basically related to the professional certification. Like as you must
Okay.
have seen in your office, not just in office, outside
Hmm.
office, people get confused between what should choose because their career are getting stagnant at some point because they have not that professional qualification in the background.
Hmm.
Like they are only having BCom
Hmm.
or MBA, not from tier A college or B colleges, but from C or
Hmm.
something around that average MBA college. So they want you to do that. They usually get confused, or people actually who are just passing their schools and all, they also get confused like what to choose now. So for them,
Hmm.
what's your advice? What should be the solution of choosing the right course when it comes to the commerce background and all?
Okay. See, I think I don't want to like misguide per se anyone there, but I think there are certain courses which are brutally more valued in market. Okay, ऐसा है. Even if you say that your CS is a good course or per se like आप इंडिया में CPA कर लो, they are good courses, right, from a
Yeah,
syllabus perspective. But the brutal, honest truth for people in the market is your courses which are valued for job perspective वो डिफरेंट है मार्केट में. सो योर
yeah,
सीए विल बी मोर वैल्यूड, राइट, और योर सीएफए विल बी मोर वैल्यूड फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग, राइट. सीएमए से ज्यादा आपको सीए को वैल्यू करेंगे कंपनीज, या सीएमए से ज्यादा सीएफए को किसी पर्टिकुलर रोल के लिए कंपनीज विल वैल्यू इट, राइट.
yeah,
So you have to be very aware of that and not emotionally attach yourself to a particular course, right? I think that is first and foremost बहुत जरूरी है to understand. You don't have to be emotionally कि नहीं यार सीएम में क्यों नहीं है अच्छा सीए से, अच्छा है
right,
बट
right.
जॉब के लिए सीए ज्यादा प्रेफर्ड है मार्केट में तो है.
Yeah,
It's
true.
simple. So people are not going who is buying from Amazon वो मीशो से नहीं खरीद रहा है, तो नहीं खरीदे तो मीशो कांट भी इमोशनल कि यार क्यों नहीं खरीदा, मैं धंधा बंद करके बैठ जाऊं. It's
Yeah,
not like that, right? So do your research in terms of if you have thought of a particular like कोर्स की यार मुझे ये करना है, लेट्स से सीपीए और सीएमए सीएससीए सीएफए व्हाटएवर इन द फाइनेंस लीग, राइट. रिसर्च, गो टू लिंक्डइन और फिगर आउट कि यार वो लोग जिन्होंने ये कोर्स किया है
where
versus
they
the
are
people who have
standing.
different
Yeah,
course, correct, what kind of designations, what kind of organizations are accepting them, right. That
yeah,
is actually going to be your course of life. आपके लिए कुछ अलग नहीं होने वाला है, right. I think another thing I also figured out while being in Wipro was once you get into Wipro or a big company like this or you clear your chartered accountancy, बहुत हवा आ जाती है, right. You start thinking
yeah.
कि यार अब तो देखो क्या पैसा कमाएंगे, लैम्बोर्गिनी चलाएंगे. सो essentially then you figure out कि यार मेरे से 15 साल आगे, again a chartered accountant 15 years elder to me, he's also a senior manager at Wipro, sitting in the very next seat, right. कोई क्यूबिकल भी नहीं है, सामने वाले टेबल पे बैठे, सेम लैपटॉप है, सेम काम है, सेम वही 8 से 10 घंटे दे आर ऑन एक्सेल एंड कॉल्स एंड मीटिंग्स, प्रॉब्ली द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज आर मच मोर देन मी, but essentially the life is same. Okay, the
Yeah,
life is not going to be कि यार अब आप दुबई के शेख बन गए हो. And so you have to realize that per se कि any course will give you a platform, but कुछ extraordinary तो कहीं भी नहीं होने वाला, right. That
true.
is going to be a fair deal. So coming to courses, I think do your research, don't be emotionally attached to a particular course. आपको क्या करना है उसके रिलेटेड मार्केट का सबसे हाई वैल्यूड कोर्स ही करना चाहिए as the first preference, right. If you want to get into business finance, you want to get into FP&A, you want to get into taxation, audit, big fours में audit करना है, big fours में internal audit करना है, CA करना पड़ेगा, right. करना पड़ेगा means it is more valued. CMAs are
Valued,
also
yeah,
hired, your
yeah.
CPAs are also hired. It's not like you won't be hired, but easy access, easier
Easy
access, not
access,
easy
yeah,
but easier access है आपको getting into those companies. So do that research. And I think it's fair enough if even if you're convinced कि यार दूसरा course करना है, and I'm fairly, because it might be fairly easy to do that particular course because of the marketing, right. कोर्स
true.
सारे मुश्किल है, इट्स अबाउट द मार्केटिंग, हाउ द कोर्स इज मार्केटेड कि यार ये तो ज्यादा टफ है, सीए में तो इजी है. इट्स नॉट इजी, राइट. ये बस मार्केटिंग का तरीका है, बिकॉज देयर इज मोर चंक ऑफ पीपल हु आर डूइंग चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी, लेसर चंक ऑफ पीपल डूइंग सीए में, तो वो हावी कर देता है ग्रुप आपको,
Got it, yeah.
राइट. So I think do your fair research before getting into those conversations within yourself, right? Listen to everyone, but वही करना जो आपको समझ आए, अच्छा लगे नहीं, जो समझ आए वो करना, right? अच्छा तो
True,
सब कुछ ही लगता है.
true
And
enough.
to your that question, I think final thing is MBA in corporate is somehow necessary, right? Again, an
True.
honest truth. You have to grow, you have to do an MBA. It's like आप CA अच्छा करते रहोगे, you will become a senior VP, CFO तक चले जाओगे, right? पर टाइम लगेगा. MBA will like fasten that thing by 5 years. ऐसा नहीं
Got
आप
it.
CFO नहीं बन पाओगे, यू विल बी अ CFO by 45-46 years of age. 22-25 साल में आप CFO बन जाओगे, बट MBA करने से 5 साल कम हो जाएगा. 40s में भी ऑल्सो यू कैन बिकम अ CFO और अ CEO. सो
True.
इफ यू वांट टू फास्टन योर प्रोसेस, अगेन अ पर्सनल चॉइस. इफ यू आर वेरी कंफर्टेबल कि यार MBA की जरूरत नहीं है, आई कांट अफोर्ड अ 50-60 लाख रुपीज, आई डोंट वांट टू लूज आउट माय सैलरी फॉर 2 years. अ लॉट ऑफ दोस कैलकुलेशंस आजकल हो रही हैं, राइट? यू लूज अ सैलरी, 20 लाख की सैलरी प्लस 50-70 लाख रुपए का MBA हो गया. If you're
True.
not comfortable with that, stay in what you're doing, right? It will just take 3-4 years or 5 years extra, but you'll reach the same place. So it's your personal choice there, but jaldi karna to MBA does help.
And as per you, what's the right time of doing the MBA? At the start of the career or mid of the career? Because
I
I
think
also, I
start
also,
में as an Indian, as an Indian education में जितना जल्दी करोगे उतना अच्छा है, right? The
yeah,
more you elongate that process, it will be more painful to you, right? अभी
yeah,
27-28 की एज में यू गो टू एन IIM, राइट? कैट क्रैक कर भी लेते हो आप. द क्लास इज 22 years old. यार 6 साल का
true,
वैसे ही क्या, यू कांट मिक्स अप विद दोस पीपल, राइट? देन यू विल
yeah,
इवेंचुअली हैव टू गो एंड डू एन एग्जीक्यूटिव MBA, which is again more like a marketed MBA, I think. but ठीक है, it's जरूरी तो वो करना ही पड़ेगा. That is what I'm saying. I'm not emotionally saying कि यार क्या यूज
yeah,
है, नहीं करना पड़ेगा तो करना पड़ेगा, right?
true,
that is
true.
that is how I look at it.
Definitely. And as per you, like people who are actually, going to the interview and,
Hmm.
they prepare for the interview, what's your advice to them when it comes to your experience with the Wipro and Flipkart, that these are the best preparation strategy for the interview you can do, and the CV preparation strategy that you can adopt. Yeah,
Sure. I think I'll just tell you with my experience what has helped me. Probably can be
yeah,
different for everyone. Like सबके अपना अपना skill set है. For me, I think I've been very confident in giving answers, even if galat hai, right? Even if the answer I don't know, I try to figure out a way to mold that into an answer, even in interviews, right? If I don't know something about a particular subject, I'll just change the subject answer में, right? It has backfired also. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमेशा ही मेरे लिए काम किया है. 50-50 चांसेस है. वेयर इट हैज वर्कड फॉर मी लाइक अ डायमंड. जहाँ नहीं काम किया वहां पे अच्छे से आई हैव बीन ग्रिल्ड, राइट? I'll give you an example. So there was this startup in logistics. Okay, so I was being interviewed on phone with that. So the CFO के साथ first second round senior managers के साथ हुआ. It was fair. I was getting a feel कि यार tough questions हैं, right? So I went on to internet, थोड़ा सा कंपनी के बारे में पढ़ा. IPO आने वाला है. How what does IPO happen? What are valuation models and how do you cut costs and everything? थोड़ा
yeah,
बहुत पढ़ लिया. And then I had a telephonic interview with the CFO. Now the CFO had one simple question कि if I want to spend money on robots, okay, मुझे
okay,
अपने warehouse में robotic system बनाना है पूरा, and the investment is 100 crore. 100 करोड़ रुपए मेरे लगेंगे, right? 100 करोड़ रुपए कहाँ से लाऊं मैं? That was a simple question by CFO on phone call. अभी मैं सोचा चलो ठीक है, तो हम बहुत इजी है. आई कैन टेल देम आई विल गो टू इन्वेस्टर, आई विल पिच करे. नहीं, वो सब हो गया, इन्वेस्टर पैसे नहीं दे रहा है, अब क्या करेंगे, राइट? अब इन्वेस्टर पैसे नहीं दे रहा है, यू विल गो टू बैंक्स. कह रहा बैंक 15% इंटरेस्ट देता है, इतना मेरे पास है नहीं, क्या करोगे? एवरी क्वेश्चन हैड अ काउंटर, राइट? माई एवरी आंसर हैड अ काउंटर विच वॉज जेन्युइन. मार्केट में है ही रहा एंड वी हैव नो क्लू, राइट? एंड देन ही आस्क्ड मी, चलो ठीक है, मतलब आई कुड नॉट फिगर आउट कि यार कहाँ से पैसे लाओगे, आप तो सब कुछ ही मना कर रहे हो, right? Then I said I will talk to some private equity firms, हम funds के
yeah.
पास जाएंगे, talk to them, we'll pitch them. कह रहे नहीं, वो भी हमारी बात हो गई है, वो IPO इंडियन IPO में they're not interested. Now what? Right? I said कोई नहीं, फिर लोगों की सैलरी से ले लेना और क्या, right? So The point was, it went to a conversation where I could not answer anything, right? And then he shot back at me saying कि यार आप फाइनेंस में 2 साल से काम कर रहे हो, इतनी बड़ी कंपनी, $11 बिलियन की कंपनी में, आर वर्किंग एज अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, एंड यू डोंट नो 100 करोड़ रुपए कहाँ से आएंगे. यू हैव रिटन इन योर रिज्यूमे, आई हैंडल अकाउंट्स विच आर 135 million एनुअल रेवेन्यू, उनका मैं बिजनेस फाइनेंस देखता हूँ. 135 million रेवेन्यू कितना होता है रुपीज में, बताओ मुझे. आई वाज लाइक यार ये तो 100 करोड़ से ज्यादा ही होता है, राइट? कह रहे एग्जैक्टली ये 100 करोड़ से ज्यादा, आपसे तो 100 करोड़ आपसे बात कर रहे हैं, यू डोंट नो 100 करोड़. लाइक दैट बैकफायर्स ऑल्सो. नाउ दीज काइंड्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आई डोंट नो हाउ यू प्रिपेयर फॉर दैट, बट आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू हिंट, ऐसा भी होता है स्टार्टअप्स में. ओके, now with this experience, now this experience helped me crack Swiggy का interview. Okay, now I went prepared with Swiggy के लिए कि यार मेरे को tough questions आने वाले, and they asked very tough questions, right? From treasury, from supply chain, cost बढ़ रही है, पेट्रोल की cost बढ़ रही है, delivery की cost कैसे हम control कर रहे हैं, right? Genuine questions for a finance
Yeah,
interview, right? Same thing happened with Flipkart. Flipkart had same questions कि forex बढ़ रहा है, Walmart हमें dollars भेजता है, dollar की value बढ़ रही है, but हम यहाँ पे we can't increase prices. How do I become profitable company, right? Then how do I fight competition 10 मिनट में डिलीवरी देने लग गया है. फ्लिपकार्ट, एज फ्लिपकार्ट वी डोंट हैव लॉजिस्टिक्स फॉर डिलीवरिंग विद इन 10 minutes. हाउ डू आई टैकल दैट? और इवन इफ आई हैव टू गो फॉर अ 10 minutes डिलीवरी, मेरी कॉस्टिंग कैसे होगी? ट्राई एंड थिंक अ मॉडल की मेरी कॉस्टिंग कैसे होगी. दे हैव दिस क्वेश्चंस इन इंटरव्यूज, राइट? वेरी जेन्युइन बेसिक क्वेश्चंस, but on the spot it's impossible to answer. Okay, I'll be honest with you,
got it.
unless you're in management consultant, bain bcj का experience है, तब तो you might still handle. For a chartered accountant in Wipro जैसी company, it was impossible for me to even answer these questions, right? Because I'm not used to such high end questions. My work at Wipro was not so much analysis की company कैसे चलानी है, right? I was not
Yeah,
never asked की company कैसे चलानी है, and these questions and stuff. So I think that interviews also excited me about this. To your question again, how you handle interviews, or what should be your preparation strategy for interviews, is I think is be confident and ask questions. Okay, interview में if you don't know the answer, try and ask a question to them. Okay, which shows कि you are interested in knowing something. नहीं आता वो
yeah,
तो उनको आएगा. It's not like you have to go and fake. उनको समझ आ जाएगा आपको आंसर नहीं आता है. But if you show some curiosity, right, you should turn your incompetence to curiosity. I think that has helped me per se. You try and figure out an answer कि यार अच्छा ऐसे हो सकता है, cost हो सकता है, but नहीं नहीं इसमें तो cost ऐसा भी होगा. So what do you think? Like how can we do that, or how do I figure out this? Then he'll start explaining. People are also interested to answer your questions, right? And I think managers, they know कि यार काम तो सिखाना पड़ेगा. So a person who is curious to ask questions, I'm talking about this for like 2 to 4 years of experience वाला बैंड, which has been my
got
experience.
it. Yeah.
इसके ऊपर वाले को तो आंसर्स आने चाहिए, ठीक है? ये हमारे अभी हम लोग वी आर कंसिडर्ड एज किड्स ओनली इन दी इंडस्ट्री, तो ये इंटरव्यू चल जाता है. 4 साल बाद इफ आई टेल देम यू टेल मी, बॉस आप घर ही जाओ, आप अपना खुद संभालो, राइट? So
True.
I think it's more about, if you don't know, be curious. If you know something, be very confident with your answer, right? Don't start shy. Maybe don't use those words. Maybe this would happen. Maybe not. Just tell them, I think this is what should happen, and I think this is something that the answer should be. But clear. Just tell them that answer, and they're happy with it, right? I think these two strategies, plus on resume. I think when you talk about resume, I think my first, जब मैंने started figuring out कि क्या job करनी है, I have applied to more than 100 companies. Okay, I'll be honest with you. When I wanted to switch, more than 100 companies को तो आराम से मैंने apply किया होगा, right?
Okay.
LinkedIn पे every easy apply, every HR, I used to send my resume just to check कि वैसे I just used to check कि यार resume ठीक लग भी रहा है, shortlist हो भी रहा है या नहीं, और नहीं हो
Yeah.
रहा था. शॉर्टलिस्ट ही नहीं हो रहा था. फिगर आउट यार ये क्या दिक्कत है, शॉर्टलिस्ट ही नहीं हो रहा है.
Mm-hmm.
ब्रांड भी है अपने पास, वी हैव अटेम्प्ट्स भी नहीं है, सब कुछ है, डिग्री भी है, पता नहीं क्यों दिक्कत है. देन आई फिगर्ड आउट इट्स मोर अबाउट द कीवर्ड्स. ओके, नाउ द एचआरस और हाउ थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग राइट नाउ इज, एक जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन दिखेगा, उस
Yeah.
जॉब कॉपी उठा के अपना रेज्यूमे बना दो, तो योर चांसेस ऑफ गेटिंग शॉर्टलिस्टेड इज 10 times, राइट? जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन विल हैव वर्ड्स लाइक एनालिसिस, टीम वर्क होगा कोई वर्ड, देयर विल बी लाइक MIS करके वर्ड होगा, MIS रिपोर्टिंग होगा, या प्लानिंग होगा, बजटिंग जैसा वर्ड होगा. पुट दीज वर्ड्स इन योर रेज्यूमे समहाउ.
Definitely.
कुछ
Even in my profile, private equity, it's a brutal truth, but If you wanted to get selected, you
Hmm.
have to pick 10, 20 JD of private
Correct.
equity, mix them with the
Correct.
lines and put them into your resume to get selected.
You have to do.
Otherwise,
वो मेहनत
if you
दिन
will
की है.
be, yeah, otherwise you will be truth about what you have. Although it should match your work around, but uh,
For sure.
it will not. But you have to answer them in
Hmm.
your interview. But at
Correct.
the end of the day, your CV, resume, the job description look like what they are looking for. Otherwise, they
For
will not
sure.
never call you when you are into that profile for a number of years.
Correct. Even if you have excellent skills, वो
Yeah,
shortlist ही नहीं होगे तो skills दिखाओगे कब, right? So to
true.
get shortlisted, I think that is what I also figured out, and that helped
Yes.
again. So from experience, probably अभी भी resume मेरा बहुत कचरा है, right?
And
I know it's
Naukri,
it's
no,
not a good resume.
Naukri and LinkedIn, I think are enough to get a job.
For sure.
Like Naukri, if you are having right resume, a right job
Hmm.
description, and your
Hmm.
profile on Naukri is looking 100%,
Correct.
you have written well, the introduction
Hmm.
of yourself
Those
was well,
keywords and tags,
keywords
नौकरी में भी
and
tags आते हैं.
tags. Yes, you can
हाँ.
select 10 to 15 tags or something. वहाँ पे,
Correct.
if you're selecting the right tags, you're good to go.
Hmm.
There's no
More
nothing
than
like,
enough.
yeah. And LinkedIn, even it's a good platform. You want to go and easy apply. But for me, it's a brutal truth that LinkedIn never worked. Naukri.com always worked for me.
नौकरी I would also say 10 times better for
10
finding a job.
times. Yes, yes. Uh, I
आराम
I
से.
I applied number of jobs on LinkedIn, but
Hmm.
I feel like
Response
Naukri
rate कम है,
yeah, response
right?
rate come hai. But Naukri pe
Hmm.
it's very quick. I
It's
applied
very
it
quick.
today. Tomorrow you will get a call. You will get a call. Yeah. So
100%. कोई ना कोई agent will call you
कोई ना
and they'll
कोई
forward your
agent,
resume.
third party recruiter or something like that.
Correct, correct.
And no,
And
but
once
there
you
is a
once you
difference.
create
Yeah.
your नौकरी प्रोफाइल, आपका पूरा फोन का कॉन्टैक्ट बुक में ना नौकरी के कम से कम 50 एचआर का नंबर तो आ जाता है,
That's
राइट?
the
You
point.
you start
You
saving.
can
हाँ,
save.
that's exactly.
And for
Mm-hmm.
example, the best part is on the LinkedIn. What's the difference? Not getting a call on the LinkedIn. More. It's
Mm-hmm.
more related to direct company hiring, direct company HR,
Mm-hmm. Correct,
and they get
correct.
number of CVs. On the
For
Naukri,
sure.
it's mostly like third party recruiters
Hmm.
who calls you in. I will actually want
Correct.
you to get in. They help you around with the questions,
For sure.
past experiences also, and also
Exactly.
at the end of the day, you're getting a list of third party HR's number. In future, if you need,
Hmm.
you can call any one
For
of them
sure.
anytime.
I think it's the real difference between job and business, right?
Job and
HR
business.
की job है और third party का business है. So
Business, उसको
business
तो
वाला is
चाहिए
putting more
जाओ
efforts.
जाओ
हाँ,
उसको तो
उसका
चाहिए
रेवेन्यू है, एचआर की
revenue.
जॉब है, सैलरी और थर्ड पार्टी का रेवेन्यू है, तो वो रेवेन्यू के
Yeah,
लिए काम करेगा. इट्स
true.
या.
So yeah, it happens. So and seriously, my next question is going to be around basically. Uh, But is it working although you have told more about the work culture at the Flipkart, but is it like working at Flipkart? Whether they promote the at the right time to the people? What's the basically salary package of the fresher or mid career when it comes to business finance or finance and accounting, something like that. Somebody is looking for going there. Yeah.
I think it's fairly transparent. So the best part about chartered accountancy की placements is the numbers are on Quora. Okay. आपको किसी भी कंपनी में if you
Yes.
want to know what your package
Even
you
for
have to be as
Wipro.
a chartered, even for Wipro, you go to Quora, ये पूरा CTC breakup दे देंगे लोग, right? So I don't even need to answer this question. Just go to Quora and you'll know my salary, right? CA में
Yeah.
दिक्कत भी है, अच्छी बात भी है. So if you're figuring out a job, which is a good thing, if you are a CA, that is a bad thing, right? So this I think it's fairly transparent, especially in chartered accountancy. वो set है from placement perspective. ICI placement में तो salary लिखा ही रहता है, right? So everyone knows कि यार अगर दोस्त की नौकरी EY में लगे तो कितने की लगी है, मेरे को पता ही है. I don't have to ask, right? So that is fairly
True.
transparent out. Per se, if I have to answer a question on culture and how people are, I think like we started the conversation, right? People have become a lot of patient, right? बहुत people have now that like patience है लोगों में to accept new people or change per se. If you like as a manager, he or she has like 3 or 4 new recruits, right? Patience चाहिए क्योंकि you
सिखाने के
have
लिए.
that pressure of deadline, but then again you have to teach them and get the quality work unse वापस लेना, right? And not
True.
everyone is interested in a job, right? 4 out of 4 people, दो का मन होगा, दो का मन नहीं भी होगा, दो का सिर्फ मन होगा 5 बजे निकल के have to go to club, right? तो
Yeah.
सबका अपना अपना है. Now as a manager you have to handle everyone. I think the culture there is now pretty patient, and it's not, people are not in so much rush for things, is what I have experienced. But say maybe I've chosen those kind of companies. Big Four mein hota, my answer would be different for sure,
True. True.
right? But as an industry, I think which is fairly funded, an industry which is fairly funded, it's well organized. Things are pretty okay, right? You get quality work by choice, right? There will be हजार चीजें होंगी करने को, एड हॉक काम होगा, मैनुअल काम होगा, यू विल हैव टू डू दैट आल्सो. But then again you figure out opportunities through networking again, right? Your networking doesn't stop once you get into a job, it actually starts then. Because I have seen, like, in 2 years, like I knew 100 people in Wipro. 60 people are now gone from Wipro in 60 different companies, right? Now that network expands for you
Yeah.
from within the company. As a student or as someone who's figuring out a job, it's like a golden egg for you. Yeah, I know 60 people from 60 companies. I can go and reach out to you, refer kar do, right? So
True.
building those relations in your 2 to 3 years or 5 years, whatever the course, like you want to stay in a particular company, the longer you stay, the better for you. But आजकल patience किसी में नहीं है, काम की patience है, अपनी personal growth की patience नहीं है, right? Everyone wants to make more money and rush. Probably I'm part
True.
of that, honestly. Abhi, there's nothing is hidden, right? Everyone is doing that. So fairly, that is how I think Indian companies per se, I will again say my choice of companies has been Indian for now. If you even look at Wipro is an Indian MNC, Flipkart is more like an
Yeah.
Indian company. They're not a global backed US culture companies nahi hai. They are more Indian companies. So the kind of culture you have is also very Indian Marwadi baniya. So a lot of, because I'm in finance, 80% जनता तो सीए आपकी बनिया और मारवाड़ी होगी, right? And those people are there in your company also. CA ही है वो,
In
pretty
Wipro,
chill वो.
there are a lot of people who are
A lot
Marwari.
of a lot of people from Kolkata, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. So you have a lot of great people, fun people, right?
Yeah.
They are pretty chill in their life. उनको life में they don't have this Delhi Mumbai वाला rush कि यार कमाओ, घर बनाना, ये
Yeah.
करना नहीं. They're pretty chill. They have big bungalows in their hometown. मस्त जी रहे हैं वो लोग, right? So that kind of culture actually flows down in organization, especially in finance. Tech का I have no clue. Finance में तो ऐसा ही है, right? So pretty
Yeah.
people have their backings, especially. And I think तो ठीक है, people are not very excited about growing per se कि यार कुछ बड़ा कर देना है लाइफ में, कि I have to go to US and Apple में नौकरी करनी है या Google Fang में नौकरी करनी है. We
True.
don't have that in finance, right? It's like ठीक है, we are going to grow how वही 7, 8, 10% की growth every year, how the company grows we'll grow, and we are okay with it, right? So I think that drills down and brings a lot of peace to your work. I think again
True.
a personal choice. If you're okay with it, okay with it. If you're not, switch to some high paced startup, right? You will see a difference there, right? Even Marwadi Banias there are at speed then.
Sure. Uh, Thank you. Seriously, it was amazing, to get all these insights. And I seriously, we talked about almost everything, interview preparation,
Mm.
course, curriculum, and everything. But I really wanted to you to first of all, the people who actually wanted
Mm.
to get up, apply into the any job role into the Flipkart, you will be referring them if they will connect to you on the link, right?
For sure, for sure.
Definitely, I'm going to put a link.
Finance particularly. If someone wants
Yes,
to get into
finance.
tech, probably I'm not the right spot. But
And I've seen
finance
you
probably
keep on
is.
writing
Mm.
lot of blogs into on the LinkedIn, right?
Probably just using my nights, right? तारक मेहता देखते हुए आधा घंटा लिख लेते हैं जो समझ आता है, and then post it.
And that's great. Keep. I have read some of the blogs and it's actually amazing. And you are getting a lot of reach about from them. So it's good to keep on writing. Great man.
Thanks. I'm glad you're reading them, right? I was
No,
figuring
no,
out your
I not
views
just
बढ़ नहीं रहे हैं.
not just me. A lot of people are actually reading, and I have seen you have a good reach out of those blogs actually. Yeah, that's great.
Somehow it has now. Let's see. I'll just start calling myself an influencer in 2 years, right?
Definitely. You should aim for getting into the that badge of
LinkedIn top voice kind of a thing,
top
right?
voice. Yeah,
I'll
top
have to
voice
do
of
a
LinkedIn.
startup for that. I think a lot of startup founders usually get that. ठीक है, एक startup कर लेंगे हम भी. I'll also do CA chai wala and do, get something.
No, definitely. Even I'm looking for that, but let's see how much time it will
Sure,
take to reach that level. But yeah, definitely. And thank you for all this amazing interview. I want your final words for the people who are actually looking for bright career in finance, accounting, FP&A, fund accounting, getting confused with the things, but they still wanted to get into these profiles, these companies. What should be the approach of applying? What should be they're doing at the start of the career, not delaying with the things, go into the
correct.
actions. What's your choice? What's your
I
final
think I
word?
think you answered that within the question itself. Like,
Yeah,
stop delaying things, right? Like, I think I have wasted a lot of time in figuring out कि यार करना क्या है, क्यों करना है, right? And my suggestion is always aim for the top thing in the market. Okay, you should not emotionally feel कि यार सबसे ऊपर है, सब लोग कर रहे हैं, मेरे को कुछ अलग करना है, right? अलग doesn't mean good always. So from a finance perspective, I can
true,
tell you getting into a very renowned brand will help you in the long term, right? If you get into a Goldman or a JP Morgan or a big renowned, even if it's startups, right? Your personal choice. This is just my view. Getting into a big brand early on will shape your career like very differently, right? Very
true.
differently. So aim for getting into those companies per se if you're wanting to get into job, and do not delay at all, right? Start applying, start making your resumes. They socho kam karo zyada, right? That's what elders used to tell us, right? Kam
True.
socho karo zyada. So that actually should be the aim for everyone. I think with that, and thank you so much for having me. I think I was not expecting I will speak so much, but somehow I've talked non-stop. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think
thanks for that.
if things are raw, you can actually talk about a lot of things. If things are,
For sure.
calculated or planned, somehow it doesn't
Hmm.
go look like people cannot relate. People cannot
Hmm.
attach to,
Right.
their thought process with you. But
Correct.
definitely, if things are raw, they can connect. So this is what I always keep on trying, and let's
Hmm.
keep things raw. And they always, I get the feedbacks of these interviews. People are always like, I have learned this, and that
Hmm.
particular learning stays consistent with other comments as well. A lot of people says this.
Correct.
Okay, I have learned this. I have learned. I was like, okay, at least there's something that they are getting out of it.
Hmm.
Not
For
everything,
sure.
something they're getting out of it. That's great, actually.
Right.
But yeah,
And I wish you get your play button ASAP, right? I see
uh,
you have 5,000 follow अभी subscribers. बहुत
yeah.
जल्दी play button भी आ जाएगा, right?
Definitely, let's see how
Hmm.
far it will go. But I have never thought of
It will
that.
for
I
sure.
just,
आ जाएगा. Done.
as somebody said rightly, you are doing
Hmm.
something for free and you are not expecting it out of it. You are on the right path. So that is something I'm
For
trying to
sure.
do. Yeah. So yeah,
For sure.
thank you for your time today. It's a weekend. You
Thanks,
gave your
Himanshu.
time. Yeah, we will definitely connect soon with you. Yeah.
For sure. Thanks for having me, Himanshu.
Thank you.
Pleasure being here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Thanks. Okay, Himanshu. Thank you.
Thank you.